Imagine waking up and no one calls, no one texts. Days turn into weeks and you realize you're completely alone. Sounds peaceful? Maybe. But your brain, it starts to change, and not always for the better. In this video, we explore what really happens to your brain when you're isolated for too long. We're diving into real science, psychological studies, and examples from astronauts, prisoners, and everyday people to reveal how solitude can either break us or build us. 1. The brain is a social organ. Human brains evolved in groups. According to Dr. John Cacioppo, a leading expert on loneliness, social connection literally affects how our brain functions. When we're alone for too long, activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part that helps us regulate emotions, starts to drop. Meanwhile, the brain's threat center, the amygdala, becomes more active. Example: prisoners in solitary confinement often report hallucinations, depression, and even memory loss. Not because they're weak, but because their brain is starved of connection. 2. Changes in neurochemistry. Prolonged isolation lowers dopamine and serotonin, the chemicals that regulate happiness and motivation. One study from MIT showed that social isolation creates craving signals in the brain similar to hunger. You literally become socially hungry. 3. The emotional spiral. The longer you're isolated, the more likely you are to feel anxious, depressed, and even paranoid. A vicious cycle begins. Loneliness makes us more sensitive to rejection, which makes us avoid people, which deepens loneliness. Real example: during COVID-19 lockdowns, rates of anxiety and depression skyrocketed globally, especially among people who lived alone. The brain starts to shrink. In extreme cases, like in elderly people or long-term isolated individuals, parts of the brain responsible for memory, like the hippocampus, start to shrink. This can accelerate cognitive decline and even early dementia. 5. But not all solitude is bad. Here's the twist: short-term solitude can actually be good. It helps creativity, self-reflection, and resets your emotional state, if you choose it. It's the unwanted, prolonged loneliness that harms the brain, not the peaceful moments you choose for yourself. Real example: writers, monks, and creators often use solitude to connect deeply with their thoughts, but they return to social life afterward. So what happens to your brain when you're alone too long? It gets hungry, not for food, but for connection. If you're feeling isolated, don't ignore it. Reach out, talk to someone, even online. Your brain will thank you. Subscribe to Inner Light for more mind-opening content, where science meets everyday life. Tap like, drop a comment, and let us know. What do you do when you feel alone?